different views, because if we are here for democracy, we have to admit that unavoidably there will be people with other views. But we are speaking about the truth that we have discerned as such, and this needs to be respected. We need to demand respect for our opinions, you know. And also, I think that all these things are happening because we are not active enough. You cannot expect people who don't have the mental ability and who have no conscience to stand up for the truth. But the ones who have both should do it and should be very active in this. So my prompt for all of you would be to share as much as you can, you know, on the internet. Don't bother that they may discover you. We are all discovered already. I hope nobody doubts that. I also want to tell you, because I come from a communist country, many people believe that once we are many, we reach, you know, that point in which, you know, there's enough of us, we will change something. Very, very wrong.
Yes.
When communism came to Romania, for example, and that happened all over Eastern Europe, there were very few people who were communists. In Romania, it was assessed that about 1,000 people were in the party when the Bolshevik revolution came over us. But when you use such people, and you have the power of the arm, like the Russian had, and you have all the money coming from the big bankers in America and Switzerland, you can impose any dictator. You create the social chaos you want, and then people will ask for order. Believe it or not, even in this day and age, in my country, there are people who dream to have a dictator. You wouldn't believe that. Even they come as activists in the street, but their purpose is to have law and order, and they will give up on all their rights to see this order achieved.
Calm yourself, don't.
Everything.
They are thirsty. Is anybody
Everything.
have water to give them? They are choking for a water.
Everything about you know, human psychology and how the, you know, mass psychology, social psychology is known by these elites. They've got the Tavistock Institute and they've got their universities, and they know how to handle people. And a last thing about how to handle people. I don't know if you are aware of two very, very groundbreaking psychological experiments. First one is called the Stanford Prison Experiment, in which a guy, a psychologist, Philip Zimbardo, gave roles to some students in Stanford University. Some of them were prisoners and some of them were guards. And that was supposed to last like 2 weeks or so. It ended after 6. Because people took their roles so much in serious, and that they practically, I mean, especially the guards, they practically, psychologically annihilated some of them. A guy got crazy in the second day. He was just shouting and, you know, doing a mess. Their purpose was, I mean, I'm speaking about the guards, the guys who believe themselves to be in power. Their purpose was to subdue the others with every means possible, and they went much beyond they were allowed to do. And finally, the results spoke that about a third of these people engaged in this so-called game displayed very sadistic behavior. Why? Because they had a uniform and they had a role, and they would get $4 per hour or so. That was enough for them. And there's another even more shocking experiment, the Milgram experiment, in which people were taken, you know, in a wee room, and they had a device through which they could give electroshocks to people, you know, when they would answer with a wrong answer at a question. So they had all the, you know, all the range of electric impulses they could give them, and they were between, you know, very, very low and doing no harm, but you know, just pinching the skin, to the one which should have been lethal. That was 400 volts. And guess what? They assessed before this would start it that less than 3% of the people would get to the top. In fact, it was 61% of them who gave the person answering in the other room a fatal shock. 61%, and that was only because, and these guys were screaming and shouting and imploring this stuff, and this happened because they were just prompting by a so-called scientist next to them. Just do it, you have no choice, we have to finish the experiment. That was enough. This experiment was repeated in many other places all over the world. The results converge with that. About 66% outside America went to the last level and practically killed the other person, while in America it was 61. So this is what you can do with people, and they know that. And they know that. If you go further to ask yourself why they can do this with us, why they can turn normal, decent, so-called good people into killers, you just look at our education and you'll find out the answer. We are supposed to obey authority. Nobody here wants a, I suppose, I speak for myself, but I implore that this is the case. Nobody wants a bloody revolution. In a Bolshevik type of revolution, what you get is not justice, but you have the guys who are supposed to rule you enforcing this leadership, this rulership with bloody means. That happened during the French Revolution, during the Russian Revolution, during all the communist revolutions in Europe. Do not ever believe that you are able to enforce justice, starting from a grassroots movement. The true revolution comes from the heart of the awakened people, once they realize the values. And that's how Occupy Romania ended. We made it end because we were there for love and for the human values. So I suppose that's all.